The Family Law Association resolutions say that the primary developmental task for infants is to bond with mum and dad and gain a sense of security in the world around them. This occurs through regular, consistent contact, for example, parents meeting their child's needs through daily activities such as changing, feeding, holding, interacting. When parents live apart, meeting this developmental need becomes more challenging. Parents will need to be more creative in how they share parenting time, as for infants, long periods of time away from either parent is not recommended. 27% of UK couples that were cohabiting when their child was born will have separated by the time the child is 5 years old. 9% of couples that were married when their child was born will have separated by their child's 5th birthday. I have some questions. Questions like, do babies know if their parents aren't happy? Questions like, does family separation harm children who are less than 2 when they split? And do babies cause divorce? I wanted to know because my youngest was 1.5 when our family split, and this is what I found out. Researchers at Oxford University said fathers were often sidelined after a birth, depriving them of opportunities to bond with their baby. New fathers are suffering from a form of postnatal depression because of financial pressures and a lack of quality time with their child. They said many men are expected to carry on working hard to bring money in to support their family rather than act as co-parent in feeding and nappy changing. As a result, up to 10% of new fathers are experiencing depression in the 6 months after a baby's birth, with little support available from health professionals. With fathers who want to be more involved with their children, there is a tension between their need to provide and the wish to be at home. Having a baby can also put a strain on marital relationships, especially if the couple are not working as a team. And women can sometimes be guilty of maternal gatekeeping, whereby they see themselves as the primary carer. They do not empower the father to take control of caring for the baby. Over 120,000 British families with dependent children separated in 2013. It wasn't an unusual year.
A question I'm often asked is, how do I get to see my children? It's not always a dad asking that question, but it is often. That's a really difficult one because when one parent has been prevented for whatever reason, sometimes rightly, often wrongly, from seeing their child, it's very emotional, it's very upsetting, and it obviously makes that person very, very angry. And the first thing that they want to do is run off to court and get a court order, which is often perhaps the worst thing that they can do.
A review of studies by the Father Involvement Research Alliance shows that babies with more involved fathers are more likely to be emotionally secure, confident in new situations, and eager to explore their surroundings. As they grow, they are more sociable. Toddlers with involved fathers are better problem solvers and have higher IQs by age 3. They are more ready to start school and can deal with the stress of being away from home all day, better than children with less involved fathers. At school, children of involved fathers do better academically. They are also less likely to have behaviour problems at school and less likely to experience depression. Girls with involved fathers have higher self-esteem, and teenage girls who are close to their dads are less likely to have a teenage pregnancy. Boys show less aggression, less impulsivity and more self-direction. As young adults, children of involved fathers are more likely to achieve higher levels of education, find success in their careers, have higher levels of self-acceptance and experience psychological well-being. Adults who had involved fathers are more likely to be tolerant and understanding, have supportive social networks made up of close friends, and have long-term successful marriages. Canadian scientists believe growing up in a fatherless household could permanently alter the structure of the brain and produce children who are more aggressive. Dr. Gabriella Gobi of McGill University in Canada said that the main impacts were seen in the prefrontal cortex. More than 1 million children in the UK currently have no contact with their father while they are growing up, a figure that is growing by 20,000 a year.
Are you going to Scarborough Fair? a true love of mine. Tell her to make me a cambric shirt, sing parsley, sage, rosemary and thyme, without any seams or needlework, and then she'll be a true love of mine.
I read a UK study that showed that almost a third of the separated parents questioned attributed restless nights due to kids as the reason for their divorce. But I also read Office of National Statistics showing that having children or staying childless has no clear effect on the risk of divorce. Mark Goldston MD says that children per se don't cause divorce. He says that the conflict arises when the inner animal pleasure-pain instinct to hurt their demanding, tantruming children is at odds with a less strong desire to protect them. When that conflict is too powerful, parents will deflect and displace it onto their spouse. They believe their marriage can take the slings and arrows of outrageous feelings they have towards their kids, and for that matter their parents and their bosses at work. What they fail to realise until it's too late is that the bond that is supposed to last until death do you part turns out to be the weakest link. Scientists claim that mothers who are stressed out in pregnancy transmit the effect to their unborn baby as early as 17 weeks. Pregnant women undergoing the trauma of a marital breakup may experience fluctuations in blood pressure that adversely affect the fetus. A distraught mother may likely deliver a depressed or distraught infant that may require intensive postnatal care due to a low birth weight or underdeveloped organs. A study of English mothers-to-be found that going through a major upheaval, such as a bereavement or separation, dramatically raised the odds of their baby suffering ill health by the age of 4. The link with chronic conditions was particularly strong, with 2 bouts of severe stress in pregnancy raising the odds 5-fold. Previous research has linked stress in the womb with lowering the unborn child's IQ and raising the odds of hyperactivity, emotional problems and disobedience. Studies show that children of highly stressed and anxious pregnant women were at double the risk of hyperactivity and ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, at the age of 4. Anxiety in pregnancy seems to have greater effects than antenatal depression, according to study findings. I've read that there is a cultural silence about how challenging it is to have a baby, financially, emotionally, and on a marriage. We accept that divorce and death are traumatic and condolences are offered when those life events occur, but when you're pregnant or expecting, everyone is so happy for you. We expect some challenges, but we don't discuss the deep frustration, total sleep deprivation, and heartbreaking questioning of self that comes with a new life. I've read that playing soft music or meditating in prayer will help calm the mother and even an unborn baby while undergoing the stress of marital breakup. I've read that during the 9-month gestation period, a pregnant woman's focus should primarily be on being physically and emotionally fit, not on being embroiled in a nasty battle with an estranged spouse. During infancy, babies are able to feel tension in the home and between their parents, but can't understand the reasoning behind the conflict. If the tension continues, babies may become irritable and clingy, especially around new people, and have frequent emotional outbursts. They may also tend to regress or show signs of developmental delay. Babies under duress caused by divorce may react by refusing to take a bottle or have increased susceptibility to colic. They may become restless or have digestive disorders such as diarrhea or constipation, caused by nervousness or anxiety. Infants usually respond to a mother's emotional state and can sense when mum is under stress. During the toddler years, a child's main bond is with her parents, so any major disruption in her home life can be difficult for her to accept and comprehend. What's more, kids this age are self-centred and may think they've caused their parents' breakup. They may cry and may want more attention than usual, regress and return to thumb-sucking, resist toilet training, have a fear of being abandoned, or have trouble going to sleep or sleeping alone at night. Most commonly, children of separated couples will experience greater poverty. Studies have also shown that children whose biological parents have split up have worse outcomes in terms of social, emotional and cognitive development. This association remains regardless of whether the parents were married or cohabiting when the child was born. Children of separated parents are also more likely to have behavioural problems, exhibit antisocial behaviour and to take part in substance misuse. They also tend to perform worse at school and have poorer future employment prospects. Research also shows that children of separated couples are less likely to have successful relationships themselves as adults. If there are good relations between the parents, most will adjust to the new family situation after an initial period of unhappiness and instability. Having parents that get along better together when they live apart is better for a child than being part of a dysfunctional family unit with high levels of destructive conflict. Therapists and many lawyers agree that keeping a separation from getting nasty is a good way to help your children.
Well, I think the most important thing for couples to realise is that the impact that they're going to have on their children getting divorced is enormous. And all the research now shows that children survive divorce and adjust well if the parents act civilly and behave as friends. So the biggest mistake a lot of parents make is they get angry, rush off to lawyers, rush off to court and start a war. And I've had children actually come into my office and draw me their parents with guns shooting each other as a representation, when I do art therapy with them, of how violent and how angry the parents are at each other. So I think it's quite important for parents to realize that if you create a warring situation, your children are going to become victims of a war between two parents, both of whom they love and don't want to have to choose. So it creates quite unstable environments for the children. And if the parents actually realize that creating a harmony of separation and showing the children that if relationships don't work, you can move into two separate happy environments where they can see a happy mom and a happy daddy, and create a situation where the family can work together in harmony rather than in such an angry, violent situation, which then affects the children at school, it affects their friendships, it affects the parents going to work. Like, for example, I had one wife who told the husband she can only see the children from 5 in the afternoon till 7, but he worked in the city and usually couldn't get home before 9. And they were just landing up where eventually got to the point where one of the children actually came into my office and said, I don't actually want to live with either one of them, I want to go to boarding school. And this little boy was like 9 years old, because he literally put his hand over his ears and said, I can't take this anymore. You know, all they do is fight and all they do is yell at each other, and daddy's always angry he has to leave work, and mommy's always angry that daddy left, and it just becomes this very uncomfortable situation for everybody. So the children are unhappy, the parents are unhappy, the employers are unhappy. You know, it starts affecting everything, you know, output, income, promotions, bonuses, you know, the whole life of the family is then stuck in trauma rather than moving towards healing.
Ian Duncan Smith has been quoted in The Telegraph saying, companies should intervene and help employees going through marital breakup to prevent them crashing out of work and ending up on benefits. Family breakdown has been estimated to cost the UK taxpayer almost £46 billion a year through the effects on health, extra housing support, lost work hours, legal aid and other related factors. That's more than we spend on defence. So what can we do to help our children?